without the defense team turning the tables on the House managers themselves?
By these actions, you would undo the free election that expressed the will of the American people. You will damage the faith the American people have in this institution and in the American democracy.
You will reap the bitter harvest of the unfair partisan seeds you sowed today. There must never be a narrowly voted impeachment. Such an impeachment will produce the divisiveness and bitterness in our politics for years to come.
My fear is that when a Republican wins the White House, Democrats will demand payback.
Now, even the resistance media had to admit that using the Democrats' own words against them, well, it worked.
I thought it was an effective set of zingers, and I bet the Republicans really enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah, it was awkward because a lot of what these Democrats were saying then, and he specifically included at least two of the House managers, Jerry Nadler and Zoe Lofgren, they say the opposite today.
Yeah, that's called turning the tables on the wolf. So now the liberal media was basically just left clinging to their new lifeboat. And then they merely echoed what Schiff had said earlier about Kelly.
Former White House Chief of Staff John Kelly says that he believes John Bolton's claim. Kelly also said he thinks Bolton is a man of integrity and should be heard from.
Now, last time I checked, General Kelly, I like him. I think he's a great guy, but he's not a senator who gets to vote on in witnesses, Jake. But I think someone needs to send that memo to Jerry Nadler as well.
Who are the witnesses your side will be seeking?
Well, John Bolton, certainly. Maybe now John Kelly.
Have you discussed the idea of calling General Kelly with other managers or senators?
No.
Okay, so John Kelly, a guy who hasn't even been at the White House for over a year, now he's going to save the Democrats' impeachment crusade? Well, okay, if that doesn't work, they always have the Quinnipiac poll.
Believe me, that's an intense caucus going on right now. They're all listening to each other.
What's the chances they've seen the new 75 number from Quinnipiac?
I say pretty damn good. To deprive witnesses is utter insanity from a political perspective. You've only got, I think, 51 to 54% that are behind his immediate removal from office, but 75% around witnesses is political suicide.
But what they aren't telling you is that 97% of the GOP is opposed to removing Donald Trump from office. So those four moderate GOP senators who are wringing their hands tonight and navel-gazing the Hamlet routine, well, they should take note. Because this is how Donald Trump was received when a record crowd showed up when he took the stage at a rally in New Jersey tonight. So who exactly do these moderate senators think they're actually appealing to if it turns out they vote to prolong this impeachment farce? Are they appealing to those people? Or these people? Oh, yes, CNN, MSNBC, the panelists there, Chuck Todd, Jake Tapper, et cetera, et cetera. Look, they don't have the votes to remove Trump. Democrats don't have those votes. Everyone on television was conceding that today. So what is the point of doing this to the country? Well, as they did during the Kavanaugh fight, they just want to drag this out in hopes that the next news cycle will bring them some manna from heaven to damage the president before the first ballots are cast. Our reporter at the New Jersey rally tonight tells us that they're serving drinks called margaritas and subpoena coladas, very cheeky, all over Wildwood, New Jersey. Should these moderate Republicans vote to help Schiff, Pelosi, and Nadler prolong this national nightmare, there won't be enough booze in all of New Jersey to soothe the political pain coming their way. That will be political suicide. And that's the angle. Joining me now is Saul Weisenberg, former Deputy Independent Counsel, Bob Barr, former Clinton impeachment manager, and John Eastman, Claremont Institute Senior Fellow, Constitutional Scholar. John, let's start with you. Now, John Bolton, Mick Mulvaney, or any of the other witnesses, sorry, I should add General Kelly, who's really relevant to this conversation, do any of them change the underlying facts of this case that night after night we've been laying out?
No, and I think Alan Dershowitz and Jay Sekulow today made that point. Even if the leaked story about what they claim Bolton says in his unpublished manuscript is true, that the president withheld the aid a bit in order to try and get investigation of Biden, I think Pam Bondi's testimony yesterday really manifestly clearly showed why that was a perfectly appropriate thing to do, because there's massive evidence of corruption that we ought to be looking at in this country. And so even if what the leak says Bolton said he said is true, it shouldn't alter the outcome here because it's not an impeachable offense.
Oh, wait a second, John. What does John Kelly think about all this? I'm sorry, I'm stuck on the John Kelly thing.
Well, even if Kelly thinks
I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's like Kelly was at a cafe, overheard someone else say, oh no. All right, Bob, here's how House Manager Zoe Lofgren reconciled her about face on impeachment.
Future presidents will face election, then litigation, then impeachment.
I look so young and
That was
thin,
21 years ago.
so that was exciting. The ravages of time, Republicans then took the phrase high crimes and misdemeanors, struck out the word high, and replaced it with any. And that was the problem that I was trying to address at that time. There was no high crime and misdemeanor.
So, Bob, you handled the Clinton impeachment. Is she right? And it's different now.
Well, I remember her then, and what she's saying now is the exact opposite. And really, it's, you got to look at this with a sense of humor, Laura, and it really is funny to see these Democrats twist themselves around in circles like pretzels, trying to explain why what they said then is not really what they meant now. And the only dangerous one in all this, it isn't Schiff, it isn't Lofgren, it isn't Hakeem Jeffries, it's Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is a very crafty, very mean-spirited street fighter, and he knows that if he can peel off some of these squishy Republicans, which he may very well do, he can keep this charade going for longer and longer and longer, which is what they want. There's no end game to what they're doing here. It is simply to go after Trump endlessly.
And then maybe we'll bring in something that Rex Tillerson said last month when he was in Texas, overheard. You get the point what I'm doing. I mean, they're just, every day they're hoping that someone says something in the stratosphere of the former Trump staffers that they can advance their argument with. And Saul, this is what was said on CNN today about the recognition that there's no way they're going to ever have 67 senators to vote to remove this president. Watch.
I don't think there is any chance that, regardless of what John Bolton said, there will be 67 votes. But I don't think that's the standard. I think the standard is, are you going to have a trial or not? Are you going to have a trial where the facts in dispute are addressed?
Saul, is that the standard, whether you're going to have a trial or not?
You know, it was never about removing him, Laura. They knew they were never going to be able to remove him. It's about damaging him in the upcoming election. And so the longer you can have a trial, the more witnesses you can get, the better your opportunities are. But I personally, as a citizen of this country, I demand to hear from General Kelly, and I want to know what he has to say about the Third Amendment.
Well, John Eastman, it's not funny.